So I got cut off there. So yeah, I was doing a spreadsheet in Excel comparing the 4Runner to the Honda Civic to the Jeep Cherokee, and what I was comparing was like the cost of gas, mileage per tank, cost of the car, cost of kind of if repairs were to occur, and then the resale value. And surprisingly, the incremental gas increase for my Honda Civic to this would be about $1,500 to $2,000 a year on 20,000 kilometers a year. So if I drove 20K on my Honda Civic and I drove 20K on my 4Runner, I'd be paying another $1,500 to $2,000 a year in gas. So when I looked at the, when I looked at it from an overall perspective, comparing this in the Excel spreadsheet to the Jeep Cherokee, I found that the 4Runner in the end, after I think I did 5 or 10 years of ownership on the spreadsheet, but after 5 or 10 years of ownership, the 4Runner would be worth anywhere between $6,000 to $16,000 more than a Jeep Cherokee. And that, there's a big range there because it depends how you use your car and if you're doing off-roading and blah 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 blah. But anyway, so you're gonna come out on top, at least from my spreadsheet, with the 4Runner. So I ended up, I'm like, man, this is great. This car is made in Japan, which is fucking amazing. Japanese are notorious amazing designers, both in the architecture world and the industrial design and vehicle design world. This is made in Japan, man. So they're like, the attention to detail is impeccable. Like some things I noticed, like comparing to my buddy's F-150, even when you shut the door, the metal in this car vibrates less. Like just the attention to detail is just impeccable. So I finally, after a fucking year and a half of research and second guessing myself, and I ended up buying the 4Runner. I put a deposit down for a TRD Pro without having driven one, but I saw one in the shop and I had driven a Limited, and I'm like, man, I like this car. And I am. So what ended up happening was I put my deposit, and then I'm like, fuck, I gotta pick the color. And I'm like, I've always had black cars. Black looks like shit in the winter. They ended up, I put the deposit sometime in like April, and my dealership said they could get it to me by October. And then when October rolled around, this is in Toronto, Canada, when October rolled around, my dealership said, it's not going to come until January. So that gave me a chance to cancel my contract, which I looked into it a little more deeply, and I'm like, man, I want gray. I want magnetic gray. I want my car to look good without having been washed. And I feel like magnetic gray does the best job out of all the SUV colors. So I ended up with magnetic gray, and I downgraded to a TRD Offroad, which to me I feel like is an upgrade because I didn't pay 10 grand extra. I didn't have that hideous roof rack, which I don't even think it would have fit in my garage and condos in downtown Toronto. And then this motherfucking, it was just like, it wasn't available in magnetic gray, and I'm like, damn, time to shift gears. And I like to take advantage of opportunities in life. So I took advantage. I went to a new dealership who offered me a fantastic deal, and I ended up taking the TRD Offroad magnetic gray, and I switched out the rims that it came with to the TRD rims. So my car, so it's fucking awesome. So now here's my review of the car itself. So I've been driving it. I got 3,200 km on it so far, and I gotta say, despite all the criticism I was reading online from all these people talking about just talking shit, when people want to talk shit, people just talk shit for fun. This car is an amazing car. I feel like it's driving is like just a joy to drive. When you're driving down the road, it's actually pleasurable. I enjoy getting into my car, and when I need to drive my car, I drive it with gusto. I don't know if I got that with my Honda Civic. I just got a lot of joy out of driving my car. In terms of like the interface, the buttons and the screen, like the size of it, I feel like it's completely adequate. The design of the buttons are huge, and I love that. It's just so easy. Compared to today's cars, I feel like maybe there's lacking some kind of technology, but I don't know what else I would want except for what it has here. Like, it's pretty damn good. So anybody who criticizes the interface, you know, they're out to lunch and they're just like, they're used to just complexity, you know. And to me, form follows function is a philosophy that I like to subscribe to. And you know, this thing is completely functional and beautiful, and it's durable. It just feels so durable. So the next thing is, you know, so the interface is awesome. The comfort of the seats. I'm a big guy. I love this car. It's just so comfortable. I do have my seat all the way back, and I have it kind of tilted down a little bit. And I still got a couple inches on the ceiling here. I got probably 2 inches here, 2 or 3 inches, and probably more if I lean back even more. The seats are comfortable. It's got this nice armrest here. I love driving in it. It's comfortable for a big guy, and this thing is just like the cat's meow. So just the ergonomics are great. In terms of how it drives so I'm driving it mostly in the city of Toronto, and I like to go to the cottage country a lot. I like to do camping. I'm going to do some epic trips this year with this thing. You know, everything my Honda Civic did too, mind you, but this is driving with a little more style and can handle a little more off-road. In terms of driving in the city, I find it's great. It's big. It is big. Sometimes you need to drive around the block to find a bigger parking space, and often I'll kind of skip a spot if I feel it's too tight that somebody might ding my car. So, you know, but who drives in the city of Toronto anyways? It's a nightmare. So it's like it's pretty good in the city. It is a little big, but super comfortable to drive. In terms of like torque and acceleration, I feel like it does pretty damn good. Like when you huff this thing, people say it doesn't go too fast. Like when you jam that pedal right down to the ground, this thing moves. This thing boots. I don't, you know, what else do you want in a car? You know, they're selling cars that go 250 kilometers an hour. You know, if you're never going to be able to exercise that kind of acceleration and velocity, and you know that's probably a good thing because you know that's how people die. But the acceleration and drive, you know, the steering wheel and how it feels on this thing is just amazing. So I wouldn't change a thing. In terms of the motor, you know, like people are saying it's weak. It may be a little bit on the weak side when you're, say, passing on the highway, but if you jam that pedal right down to the metal, this thing boots, and to me that's good enough. So what else am I missing here? So in terms of like acoustics while you're driving, it's fantastic. It's pretty damn good. I love it. I like having this roof, moon roof open. Like this is all new technology for me. I love driving it with it open. For now, it's wintertime here in Ontario, so you know, if the sun was beating down and it was smoking hot, maybe I would close that. In terms of the room in the back, man, like this thing's great for packing whatever the fuck you need to pack away. For camping, I just don't even put shit in my back seat. I used to fill my Honda Civic. Everything fits in the trunk, in the back area, which is great. I got a tool set back there. I got my fishing rods. You know, I got a pair of boots. I got a shovel. I got some cleaning solution. I got, got everything you need to fit in this car and keep it looking empty. So you can also use it for business, depending on what you do. In terms of the sound system, man, this sound system to me is great. I don't know, people are like talking about that it's, mediocre and all that, but I love it. I think it's great. I mean, I'm coming from a Honda Civic, but hell, I think it's pretty damn good. In terms of the wheels and the thing is just, I'm using the all seasons with the TRD rims, and I find that, I've been testing it out in the snow, and I'm finding that it's doing just fine. I do have the original rims, which I may at some point put winter tires on, but since I drive mostly in the city of Toronto, I'm thinking about not selling my other rims and just going with what I got here. We'll see about that. I'm going to test it a little bit more. So in terms of gas mileage, yeah, it's not like, if you're sticking to the 80 between 80 and 100 kilometers an hour to 110, you don't get the mileage isn't too bad. I think I'm running from between 15 and 17 liters per 100 kilometers, something like that. So the American people, you guys, you'll have to, I forget what that is on the American side. Was that 13 or something like that? But I find it's not too bad if you're not pushing, trying to go 120, 140 on the highway. It actually does pretty good for what this thing is. What else? I just like, in general, it's a joy to drive. And for me, it was a huge shift to go from a Honda Civic to this thing, and I wouldn't go back. I don't know if I would ever go back to a sedan or, a regular car after this. If anything, I'd like to even try out the Land Cruiser or the Sequoia. Those look pretty cool too, and they look pretty, they're pretty interesting cars. So for those of you who are considering a 4runner, man, and you can afford it, and you're looking for that room, I'm telling you, man, this is the car to buy. It's like in every way superior to most SUVs on the market today, in my humble opinion. And I mean, it's made in Japan. What else do you need to say, man? These guys build with precision, and the design is precision. And so, thumbs up, man. Go for it. This is the shit, man. This is the real McCoy.